Pappy out, let's talk it out. What's it like? What's life all about? Oh, Pappy out, say your piece. Laugh at yourself, slap your knee. Pull up a chair, it's time for
Pappy Hour. Your hosts, Lucas Buddy and Eric Thompson. Ready for that riff?
No.
Oh, hey, I didn't see you guys there.
Yep.
Wow.
We're here.
Daniel Katz this week.
Danny
what a
L.
story. Danny L, yeah.
Wow.
Many names, this guy, and this is a many layered human being. The youngest Pappy we've had on the show as of yet.
And you know what? You want to understand names and how they can impact you. He and his partner offered their child, basically named themselves.
Wild story. You guys are going to love this. Can't wait for you to hear it.
This is a big hitter. This is a big hitter. Yeah. Hey, thank you again, Danny, for Danny L, for coming on and speaking with us. That was really some powerful stuff.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Y'all enjoy.
Yeah.
Cheers.
All right, man. We're at it. We're at Pappy Hour. Katz.
Katz.
K-A-T-Z, baby. Raining Katz.
Katz
With a Z. Oh,
Okay.
Cat Williams. That dude's funny.
So, Daniel, you were telling us a little bit about your story before we got on camera, but now we're here, and this is
It's go time.
This is for everybody, man. Tell us your story. This is your Pappy Hour. Take us back
to
before you were a dad.
Before a dad. Sounds like
You're a young guy.
Yeah,
We
sounds
can all
like
see
there was
that
some
now.
fun
Yeah.
being had.
I'm 26 years old.
Yeah.
Years young. Very
Yeah.
young.
Yeah.
Before I was a dad,
How old are your kids?
I have one kid, a
You have one kid.
son,
How old is
who
your
is
son?
just turned 4
4 years old.
a month ago.
Nice.
Just turned 4. Or Aya. His name is Aya.
Aya. Nice.
Which is a self-named name.
Uh-huh.
He
I
got
can-
to choose.
I can get into that.
Okay, yeah,
please
I'm
do. That's really
fascinated.
far out.
Yeah. But before I was a dad, when I think about me before
Yeah.
I was a dad, besides for what I was doing in life, me as a person, I would probably describe myself as heartless, angry,
Okay.
feeling like life was unfortunate,
Sure. Okay.
was not enjoyable.
Sure.
And as much as I had interest in life,
Yeah.
I'm not sure that I had something that makes me feel the way I do being a dad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And like, I just was thinking about it this morning. Like, I haven't seen him since Wednesday. He's been with his mom.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's like our regular schedule.
Right.
But it's like after 3 days, I'm like, whoa. But like also it's so cool because I feel so connected. And, like, I'm so far away,
Yeah.
and he's in like a totally different life in some sense.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yet like I'm like still so connected. I'm like that piece of me is like still with me all the time.
Yeah.
It's the craziest thing ever.
That is, and not something that you could say about your life before you had a kid.
Right.
So that transformation is something I think a lot of dads can agree with.
Right. Especially, I mean, it sounds like, you're spinning your wheels. I remember myself just going, the gas is pressed.
Yeah.
But nothing's happening. The motivation, there's nothing I'm finding that is sticking, that is driving me to go, yeah, I'm satisfied. And so what was it? How did that change even before having Aya? You've met somebody, and what was that inspiration maybe that you found with that relationship? And then a child comes through this.
So that's the beginning of the real story.
Yeah.
For sure. In childhood growing up, I was raised in a super Orthodox religious Jewish household.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
So in deep religion, and
Yeah.
a lot of good comes from that. Like
Sure.
community and a lot of trauma,
Right.
Yeah.
and pain and suffering comes from that. And that's truly how I was led into this relationship,
Okay.
and also into having Aya.
Yeah.
I
Right.
learned a lot backwardsly, obviously, and greatest journey ever. But basically, the journey that I had was where I come from after high school.
Yeah.
You go to Israel,
Yeah.
spend a gap year there just studying Jewish. I ended up there for a year and a half.
Mhm.
And this is where the journey begins. One random Sabbath on the streets in Israel, I meet who ends up being my wife and the mother of my child. We're both just at this park, and one of my friends actually was like made a joke about going up to this group of friends,
Uh-huh.
and if we would follow, if he followed, turns out she, Meira is her name, was in that group,
Yeah.
and there was just a connection
Oh,
there.
wow.
And it went back and forth for a while, all these things, and then we ended up back together in America.
No
Wow.
Got married when I was.
Did you make plans to get back together in America, or did it just like happen?
No, it was like I was chasing for a
Uh-huh.
while. And
Oh, I
then
see,
It was
I
like this
see.
whole thing. Then she met who ends up being a big part of our story. She ends up meeting this guy who ends up being our mentor for a long time.
wow.
Completely changed her life. And he said to her, "Do you have anyone you used to talk to?" Because it was like this totally new frame of mind that
Right.
was being learned at this point. And it came back to me. She reached back out to me, and then that's how we ended up going down this path.
I don't
Holy
want to
cow.
skip over this because I don't understand what you mean by totally different frame of mind, and I want to.
Yeah.
Right.
So again, a big part of the journey. I feel like there's so many pieces.
Yeah, there
that
are.
They're
We'll
gonna,
get there. We got time,
Yeah,
man.
right.
yeah, they'll
Yeah.
pop in. We got time for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So being raised, the way we were raised
Yeah.
in the religion, we had one frame of mind, I would
Mhm.
say. She met this guy who was also a religious Jew, but I feel like had a more open and trying to serve with positivity
Mhm.
rather than
A rigid
like
sort of
you're
style.
like you're
Okay, I
like
see.
instead of like don't sin all day long, it's like let's do good, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Totally different frame of mind.
Sure.
What not to do,
Right.
but what it's not what not to do, but what to do.
Right.
Yeah.
That also brings you joy and happiness, right?
Yeah.
Like the things that you're focusing on all day long, they like don't do that.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah.
like you're rigid and you feel awe,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? And the things that are like, oh, this brings me joy, way better frame of mind.
For
Both
sure.
of us kind of got turned on by that, obviously.
Yeah.
She meets this guy, and we're in a totally different frame of mind now.
Yeah.
Still like,
The light is on. All of a sudden,
Yeah.
whoa, hey, wait a
Yeah.
minute. There's color to my world.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
and like still in the frame of the religion. So following all the
Mhm.
rules, keeping all the things, but like with this totally new frame of mind, and the light is on, right?
Yeah.
Now we're like, whoa, like we're
What?
like. So get married when I was 20 years old.
Mhm.
She had just turned 21. And that's kind of the path, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's how we were raised. You get married really young,
Yeah.
and then it's also pop out kids really young.
Right.
Yeah.
From the world I came from, this is really real.
Yeah.
Birth control. So the woman is allowed. They get an allowance from the rabbi to use it for 3 months, basically, when you first get married, to
Okay.
give you time to
Get to know
Okay.
one
get to
another.
know
let's
each
say.
other.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then it's off of it, and you have the commandment. The first commandment when you get married is
Yeah.
have children.
Yeah.
So it's like you got to be popping out kids. You
Okay.
got to go.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the pressure is on.
Yeah.
I even remember before I got married, my oldest brother got married, I used to like go to my family and be like, is she pregnant yet? Like his wife.
Yeah.
And they would say to me like, chill out.
Right.
And then I got there and the pressure came on. I'm like,
Right.
Oh.
give an ass.
Right,
Like, oh
right.
my God.
Yeah.
It was like on.
Wow.
And so we actually get pregnant within like 4 or 5 months of being married at 20
Yeah.
years old.
Oh my gosh.
Then miscarriage happened.
Mm.
Stating.
Yeah.
Because obviously, like from the path when we don't realize so much what's truly going on, like looking back now, being married at 20 and trying to pop out a kid instantly,
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, especially when you're just like coming to light and feeling good about things, right?
Yeah,
All of
yeah.
a sudden, now you want me to be what? A dad?
Yeah.
All these other things. And more importantly, I have to do this correctly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which, and when it,
That's a lot of pressure. That's really heavy.
right, no
Yeah.
kidding.
Yeah, wild stuff.
Yeah.
So, wait, okay, this might be a touch in,
I
and
love
then
it.
let me know if it's not to answer. So, with the Orthodox aspect, what is the general feel did you get with a miscarriage? Is that considered for lack of better
Yeah.
word, a failure and
Oh,
is
interesting.
something like because maybe you weren't as devout as you ought to have been? Is that why a miscarriage? I'm
Great
going
question.
way
No,
far
no,
out
no,
there,
no.
but
I
I'm
love
just,
this.
it's just
I love this.
wondering.
No, I love this question.
Yeah,
I don't think that it's looked at as a failure,
great.
and I do think things are changing more so now.
Mhm.
In newer times, I feel like as the world expands, as much as they're kind of trying to stay away from the rest of the world and shelter
Mhm.
themselves. That's kind of how I feel.
Yeah,
growing
yeah.
up.
Yeah.
They're all. It is getting in some sense of like as the world expands, everyone has to expand in some
Mhm.
sense. So I feel like it is more open now,
Okay.
but I do feel like there's just a lot of pressure again
Mhm.
that you feel of like what's wrong with me. Or yeah, like I mean, a lot of people like do these tests and stuff where they get married to like check the genetics
Sure.
and kids and all, and there's all these testing and stuff. And I was like, there's just a lot to it, and I don't know. I feel like it's for me,
It's really complex, and when you layer on top of that the years of what you've been taught is
Mhm.
right and wrong, the values that you've learned in your life, right? Telling you that to be a good person, then you have to do this or this or this, on top of the grieving that you must have to go through when you lose this love that you can't, there has nowhere to go, right? Grieving. I heard someone say recently, oh, it was a buddy of mine who we were a bunch of guys who had all lost their dads. And he was like, I heard this song once that said, grieving is love that has nowhere to go.
Interesting.
That's so
That's
deep.
beautiful,
That's
right?
beautiful, yeah.
So I wonder what that was like for you, and because I want to get to you meeting your kid for the first time.
Yeah.
But how was it received in your family, like Eric was asking? And what did that feel like in your body?
Yeah.
It was really tough. It
Yeah.
definitely was really tough. First of all, seeing Mira like that was like, I remember I was at work. It was actually the first, I had gone to every single appointment with her, and I had made it a thing. I want to be there. This is part of my journey, right? And it was actually the first appointment I didn't go to.
Oh, wow.
And I was at work, and I remember she FaceTimed me at work.
Yeah.
And I couldn't answer right away, I think. And then I answered, and like her face wasn't really on there. And I was like, oh, and then I heard some crying, and she was like, what's up? And she's like, we lost it.
Oh, man.
It's like, what does that even mean?
Yeah, right,
I
right.
feel, yeah. What does that even mean?
Yeah.
She's like, they just said it's not breathing, and it was, or whatever, it hasn't grown. And that means it's like, she was just so devastated.
Right.
Yeah.
And I came home and just also just devastated. And like, yeah, it's something you're just like really looking forward to.
Right.
And it's like this crazy journey. Also, it's like a life, and it's like your DNA, and it's like growing inside of one of them. It's like this, like so intricate. And then it's just like over. It's like, whoa.
Was there any avenues for grieving? I mean, was there?
So yeah, to that side of it, that was what was so interesting, is because in one sense we were grieving, in the other sense it was like we also are like so passionate in some sense about having a kid, and also feel this pressure of having a kid, that it's like, all right, let's just make it happen again.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Let's
Oh,
go.
yeah, we
right?
know
It's
we
like,
can do this.
right. Like, okay, yeah, this is really sad. I remember calling my mom, and it's not like we had the greatest relationship at that time.
Yeah.
And she like came over, and that was it. And that was basically the only person we could tell at the time, and just was blah.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's like, but what made it wild is that in some sense it was like, okay, let's just get over this. But what ended up happening is then for a year, we were trying, as they say, and it could not get pregnant.
Right.
For a full year.
After it had been so easy the first time.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
So it's like instant, like, okay, get married, you're pregnant. Like,
Yeah.
woo, this whole journey, you're going to be a parent.
We're doing it right.
Yeah.
That's heavy.
And then it's like the
boy.
year. So it's like the year of not getting pregnant ended up becoming way more painful than the miscarriage.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Way more painful.
Yeah. Holy cow. Yeah, because you're going to work, you're questioning, you're not having the conversation. Did you guys have conversations with each other? Or also being so young, did you know you could communicate with one another? How did that kind of go?
Yeah. That goes back to like the whole journey of
right.
how we got to where we were.
Right.
But we were extremely good communicators at the
Right.
time.
Oh, wow.
Extremely, because of this mentor.
Mentor, I was just going to ask that.
We were like
The light is on. We can do
open,
this.
and like he all credit to him, really.
Right.
Oh, that's
He
great.
literally would just say to us, like, you need to sit down together. One time he said, you need to sit down together and spill your whole past to each other. If you have any past with partners, all these things,
Right.
like, what's the point of even going into something like this?
Yeah.
If you're scared of that.
Wondering of
version
something.
you,
If you're,
right?
Yeah.
if you're so scared of the reaction of that person, that's not really connection. That's not really like a pure love.
You're making something up.
Yeah.
Right. And so I remember literally parking on the side of the road and just sitting in the car and just looking at each other and for hours just spilling out. Like,
Wow, that's great.
there's all the past.
Yeah.
Here's what happened.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we were really good communicators, and it
All
was
right.
That's awesome.
really good. But yeah, so to go back to the beginning of the journey so we can
Mhm.
get to all those things, is
Yeah.
that raised really Orthodox, get to this mentor, he blows our mind open in many, many different ways. And what I say now afterwards is that he was the greatest thing and maybe the worst thing that ever happened to me in my life. But even when I look at the worst part of it, what it taught me, it's the greatest thing, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like so legendary. He takes us down this path, and then he gets to a point where he starts questioning religion and says, like, where does this come from? And we're like, as much as we're like, you're in this like squad now, like my old best friend ended up like getting in. It's kind of like this little squad of us now.
Yeah.
Okay. And we're living in Memphis, me and my ex at the time. We're
Yeah.
living in Memphis, Tennessee, where I'm originally from. And then COVID happens, and we're like ostracized from the community because I'm in the religious community. I'm the only one that wasn't ready to do all the vaccines and all those different things. And
Yeah.
the entire community like did not give me any space to just process anything.
Sure.
That's a lot. Yeah.
And loaded it on me, and my work was trying to offer me money and all these things, and it's like I'm trying to deal with all these different things at the same time.
Yeah.
And I'm questioning my life and my religion and like all these things. And so me and my ex moved to Orlando, Florida, where this mentor ended up moving as well. So we kind of like follow him there in some sense. We're like living with him, living this religious life, and then he starts questioning full on religion of like, okay, we're like living kind of good and we're kind of happy and whatever and all these things, but at the same time, where did this come from? Why are we doing so many things we don't even know we're doing, and we're just kind of like forced to do it our whole lives? What he kind of came to is like, I feel like I've never independently thought for myself a day in my life. And he like started really questioning, and then he ended up like, let's set something straight, by the way. This guy was, at the time, was 32 years old with 10 children.
Okay.
Okay.
May say
Okay.
Okay.
10.
A lot of questions about that, but this is your Pappy hour,
right,
so I want you to.
Yeah.
Okay.
But so, yeah.
32, 10 children.
Yes,
Okay.
32, 10 children. Crazy house. It was wild.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time there. But so
multiple women,
one
wife.
one wife the entire time.
Yeah,
Okay.
wow.
Still married.
Beautiful. Okay. Yeah.
That's
Great.
incredible.
Yeah, wild.
You shouldn't have questioned it that way, but sorry. I apologize.
It's all right. This is a safe place.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And so then me and my ex at the time started to also question. But what he taught me at that point was, when you have any question or any thought or you're wondering something, go research it. But also look it up from every angle, right?
Right.
Like, because I was raised in a religion where everything you ever thought of, you go to that own place. And
One place, one source.
Yeah.
And you're so sheltered from any like external thought. So his thought was, go look at it and look at it maybe from the Jewish lens, but also go down the Christian lens. If you want to take the religious lens, right? If you're going to look at something through a religious lens, look at it through it all and figure out what feels right to you. And then also with everything in life, like go look up, don't just take the first opinion you see or listen to the first thing you see. Look up what different people over different periods of time thought maybe, and then come to a conclusion of how you feel.
Nice.
And that really sat with me. And that's where the journey of the religion thing really
Right.
starts, is that I'm sitting there one Sabbath. I'm already like kind of slowly stepping away, but I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
And I'm still keeping Sabbath, which means no electronics, no, you're Amish basically.
Right.
Yeah.
For 25 hours. And so I'm sitting there and I'm like really questioning, like, what's up with this religion thing?
Uh-huh.
I'm like, why am I doing this? And who said I have to do this?
Right.
How do I feel? I pull off, I can't go to my phone. And I'm like, oh, I got to research things. So I pull off actually a Jewish book from the shelf that I had then. And I open up to like that week's Torah portion. And there's like essays that they write on the week. And I read it, and it was actually this whole 5-page essay about how the Jews basically created the religion themselves because they felt like they couldn't handle God face to face. And I read that, and this was like a rabbi wrote it.
Yeah.
And like, obviously he was a very religious and well-known rabbi, and like still chose the religion, but it was a perspective that I had never heard. First of all, I heard it was like, you have to, all these things.
Yeah.
God gave it, God created it. And this was like a new perspective of like, wait, that's not what that says. That says maybe they feel like they needed it because sometimes, and I've learned this as well, that with community and with structure, things can be better. But what I did notice in that moment is that the modern day religion of Judaism was not God given. All these rules and regulations, like the structure, could not have been written by God all those years ago.
Okay.
Interesting. And this was before you had a kid. So you're having all this revelation and like
catharsis,
mind-bending catharsis before you even become a father, which is a whole other trip.
This was all actually happening while she was pregnant.
Wow.
So this was totally.
How long did it take you guys to get pregnant before?
A year.
It took you a year.
It was a year.
Okay.
The miscarriage to pregnancy was about a year.
Okay.
And is she following your thinking with this, or this is really your internal piece?
Great question. So we were working it together. What we always talked about is that I, for some reason, had more willing to jump in energy, and he was more reserved. And I do believe a lot of that comes from she was raised in New York, where there are millions of Jews. And I was raised in Memphis, Tennessee, where there are a couple thousand Jews. And so she had way more pressure and was raised in a way more like, what I say is that I was from a different place. I was brainwashed the same way. Yeah. but my physical sight and that like brainwashing, and
there wasn't as much pressure, cumulative pressure on you. Yeah. So you had a little bit more space, possibly, although ask other questions.
Difference with the New York Orthodox, possibly huge population.
Yeah.
Huge community. So you are seeing the same people over and over again. Memphis, a couple thousand. Did you have this tight community everybody lived in, or was it spread out?
So it still was the same tight community because I was still raised with that same Orthodox driven reality, right? Like your reality, in some sense, no matter where you live, has to be the same. You gotta keep all the laws. You got to go to synagogue. You got to keep code. Right? You got to figure out. There's like an ecosystem.
Totally.
They're just different ecosystems. I had the same base. Like all the Jews lived in the same one little neighborhood on all the same streets. Basically, no one really lived outside of that. But I ended up living where she grew up for a little while. And so I experienced it myself, and it's a different beast.
Totally.
It's definitely a different beast.
Yeah.
But again, I think what I learned coming out of it also is that your mind is really everything for where you are. And so different beast, but different mind will play
you're
a different game.
And your wife is pregnant. What's now, I mean, she's pregnant. you guys, all right, we're pregnant. What's that? And going, what's the trepidation? What's the concern? Was it just like, did you take it slower, less like excitement maybe?
It was fascinating. I feel like we did have probably some like, this is scary. What happened?
Sure.
You know?
Sure.
And I think the first, when the miscarriage exactly happened, they're just like, it didn't have room or whatever. So just like, it just died or whatever.
Right.
And the moving up the canal or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So when you hear that, when you go for the second time, you're like, well, what would be different the second? Like, what?
Yeah.
You know, wouldn't just not have room again or whatever?
I mean, that's a concern for sure.
Yeah. So I feel like we're definitely just like taking it slow. At the same time, with something that was really fascinating that ended up being really cool is that this mentor as well, Danny, also basically gave us a challenge. I feel like we took it very like extremely seriously, and like we could talk about that after.
Yeah.
He basically gave us a challenge to not share that we were pregnant with anyone for as long as possible. Parents, everyone.
How long did you make it?
Really long, like 7 months.
Wow. Okay.
7 months?
Yeah.
So like basically when she's showing, you're like,
Yeah.
She was showing for a while.
Right.
We did a lot of
like clothes.
We're still down in Florida at this time, or were you back up in one of the
It
communities?
started in Memphis.
Okay.
We were pregnant in Memphis. And then we actually moved to Orlando when she was like 32 or 34 weeks pregnant.
Wow.
Like,
okay. So
way
really
late.
towards the end.
Yeah.
Oh, way late. Like really late. Like, we were running.
Okay.
Okay.
There was a lot going on.
There was
But yeah, so we moved to Orlando, and we kind of basically everyone doesn't know. And then right before he was born is really when this thing happened, when I read that essay on the Sabbath. And like up until that point I was like really like something
gears are
was
turning.
Gears are really turning. And so when I read that, it was like almost an official in my head of just like, I have to independently think for myself. I have to choose life for myself. And I realized I hadn't up until that point.
Yeah.
And so that was like the straw. I was like, I don't know what's going to happen after this, but I am slowly going to like almost like break rules on purpose, because my mind was like so like, I can't do it. I'm gonna die. Like I'm doing something wrong. Like so driven like that. It's like so much guilt and shame that you realize that's really what it is. That I almost like thought in my head, like I can't do anything. Even if I say I'm not going to do anything, or I'm going to change, I'm going to do something like against the rules. Like I almost was like, I can't do it. And so I basically,
it's a real, like your body doesn't know the difference between, until you make that decision, until you step out. And this is something else that, I mean, we're going to get to the birth story in just a second, but this is something that we constantly are tasked with teaching our children too, is that this is how you learn. You have a feeling, you have an idea, and then you act on it. And then there are consequences for that, either positive or negative, hurtful or helpful. And when you're living your whole life, I experienced a lot of this because I was raised very fundamentalist Christian. Listen, I have a lot of respect and love for religion and its role that it's played in so many lives in helping us find meaning in this existence. But at the same time, me as a dad, as a person, I choose not to teach, to raise my kid from a place of fear. Now, some people would say fear is respect. To that, I say, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I believe something different. Right?
They have two different definitions. They can't be the same thing.
Yeah. So anyway, I love this. I can't imagine fully, but I can empathize with where you're coming from here.
Yeah.
I do want to hear what it felt like to meet Aya for the first time.
So basically what happened is like this led right until his birth, because this was like right when we moved to Orlando.
Yeah.
I had decided we didn't want to give birth in the hospital. We were going to do a home birth.
Okay.
And
You fit right in Colorado.
yeah, which is wild because like it's so like the opposite of how I was raised.
Sure.
Yeah,
where I came from, and like to think like I'm gonna have a child so young.
Yeah.
And this is the first time they're just gonna like pop out of my house.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
I was like,
I mean, let's do it.
yeah, I felt like I was just like in this open, like, okay, let's do things, let's try new things and whatever.
Yeah.
And she was
On
like,
board with it.
she was like the one, like, I'm gonna give birth at home.
Yeah.
Midwife doula. We're not
Right.
going to the hospital.
Mhm.
You know, they don't really let you hang out with your kid right away. And I was like, listen, if that's really the case, and I don't know because I haven't really been there.
Right.
Yeah.
Home is chill.
Do it.
Home's
Yeah.
a vibe.
That's where you're
right?
comfortable.
Let's go.
Like,
Yeah.
forget the medical part of it. Like, I get a lot of people won't do it simply because it's scary, and I get
Yeah.
it. We had fear, of course. We had like,
Sure.
what if? And they told us they told us a wild story of something that just happened, but they ended up saving the person. It's
Right.
like, it's scary. I so resonate
Yeah.
with that. It's not for everyone.
The whole thing is scary for
yeah.
in so many different ways.
It's definitely not for everyone. But at the same time, I was like, you're telling me like I can have my child and like be in my own house, and she can have a child and get
Right.
into her own bed
Right.
with
Difference
the life
maker.
force of umbilical cord like still connected, and she can carry her child into her own bed. I was
Mm.
like,
That's
Yeah.
huge.
oh
That's huge.
yeah,
right.
for like, please have, like, totally,
Yeah.
you should have that, you
Uh-huh.
know. And so him being born was me physically catching him
Yeah.
myself. My
Oh my
first
goodness.
my first
Come on.
yeah, sitting in what would turned into his room, another
Uh-huh.
room in our house. It was,
Yeah.
they set up a pool, and like they
Wow.
were legendary. Like,
Yeah.
rigged it to the shower.
Yeah.
Legendary. Set up the pool, and from time she went, like, was like, we gotta call, you basically gotta call them, and it was like
Hmm.
Yeah.
2:30 to 3 in the morning or something like that.
Oh.
They're like, all right, we'll be there in 30 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
They come from the time it started till the time I was born is 4 hours. Which is,
Wow.
right. Lucky her.
Lucky everyone.
Lucky my hands and my arms, because I was a masseuse galore. And oh my God, I still feel it now.
Did you take any
That's
like
so
classes
funny.
beforehand to learn like the pressure points or anything?
No. She was just screaming at me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Good communicator. She's like, this is what I need.
Totally.
But yeah, it was so cool.
My
Yeah,
gosh,
but
you're holding.
They asked me beforehand, like, do you want to catch him? And I said,
Yeah.
that's just gonna come out
Yeah.
in water. And like, I literally just like put my hands there like this,
Yeah.
and like,
Were you nervous that he'd like slip out? Why is he so slippery?
yeah, they're so chill because they've done a million of
Right,
these,
yeah,
and I'm like, what do you mean? Like, what happened?
Yeah.
But I just like, I just like catch him, and like they help
Yeah.
me like lift him out of the
Oh my
water.
gosh.
He goes right on to mom.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just that
That size says everything.
That's so-
Mind blowing,
Wow.
like unspeakable moment of life transforming into something that will never be the same.
Yeah. Did
You
you
know?
guys know the sex of the child
Yes.
you
Yeah.
ahead of
Yeah.
time?
Yeah.
Okay. So you knew what was coming. It was just like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, there you are. And yeah, get to mom. And
Yeah.
wow, what a treat. Way to honor her too.
Yeah.
Taking your moment, going, this is amazing. You're it right
Yeah,
now. That's
it
so
was-
cool.
it was so wild, and so real about it too is that we also knew this has been a big part of his journey, and
Mhm.
also as parents, our journeys, that
Yeah.
we knew at the 20-week scan that he would have club feet.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
I have no idea.
So it's called club feet because it looks like a golf club, but your
Mm.
feet are basically like turned.
They
in
turn
like
in.
this.
Inside.
So our feet, right, are like straight
Yeah.
like this.
Yeah.
They're like turned in, but also could be up.
Up.
Like, so his were like really bad, like turned in and up.
Okay.
Oh wow.
So that's also like a wild thing to see, because this life comes and all this stuff, and like and this, for me, I honestly don't remember looking at his feet right away.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But I do remember that like he was purple, and he like also didn't cry
Uh-huh.
for a little while.
Oh my goodness.
And I remember like mom screaming like, why is she not crying? And, like,
Uh-huh.
he's
Yeah.
I'm like, he didn't look cute, right? Like
Right.
he looks like this like alien.
Yes,
And then to like make matters worse, like his feet are like turned in. I remember it being such an interesting moment. Like, how life just like came in, but then it's just like,
Huh?
Yeah.
like,
Oh,
you look weird. You look weird.
I love you. Yeah, you're gonna
I
be a
do
trip.
love you.
Yeah.
But I have questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
And I
wild.
think that's really real because I think probably a lot of parents feel that even without a club feet and all that stuff. That's okay, right? Like,
Yeah.
Not all babies are
totally.
like, they come out like, some of them get lucky and they're like, oh, that's a really cute baby. But some of them, it's like takes a while.
Yeah, it doesn't happen. Right
My
away.
favorite part was thinking Nathan, our oldest, was like just going, "Oh my gosh, he's perfect. He's so cute." Blah, 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 blah. And we'd take pictures, and I'm just like glowing, and people like. And then finally, like 10 months later, I'm like, "Oh gosh, he looks like a deep baboon." That's not a cute kid right there. You're just, I had
We call that
colored
a 4-beer baby.
Totally.
It's good to be real with that. I think
Totally.
people try to avoid that. It's
That's fine.
part of life.
And
It doesn't take away from how you love the kid.
Oh, and some
absolutely
are so cute. You're just going, wow, I'm really envious.
I know.
That is a cute kid.
Yeah.
Stella
But,
was really cute. I
She's
mean, I didn't want to
still
say anything, but
Right.
she's super
Yeah.
cute.
It
That's so
happens to be.
funny.
It turns out that like the initial reaction was like a facade because he turned out to be just the most adorable kid.
I mean,
at every stage, and everyone would come to us too and be like, "This might be the cutest kid
the
I've ever
cutest
seen."
kid you've ever seen.
Right? So it's like, if it turned out fine,
Absolutely.
I mean, you got to remember,
all
it just came out of a really tight
Last
package.
what were the couple, take us through the couple of months getting used to being a father, getting used to being parents of a child together.
God, it was like you asked me about the first couple of months. I remember the first day.
Yeah.
As the doula midwives were packing up, like I remember both of us turned
Where are you
to them.
going?
Yeah, we both we both looked at them together and we're like,
No, wait.
we're like, you think we know what the fuck to do?
No, absolutely not.
Right.
Where are you going?
I don't know what to
Yeah.
do. Like, can you give me some
Oh, my
lessons or
gosh,
something?
so
to figure it
funny.
out?
Figure it
It's
out.
so true.
That's the lesson.
Just so true. I remember walking out. Chris and I are walking out going, and she's just like, nobody is stopping us. I'm going, well, I don't think they think we're kidnapping. Yeah, but don't they want to ask and see if we have any questions? I don't feel right. I'm like, I don't feel right either, but we're on our way.
We all feel that way, man.
Yeah.
But it was wild again. Like being at home was just so cool because they left. Like he was born at like 7:30 about in the morning.
Yeah.
That's our first one, 7:33.
Yeah, like right around that time. And then like they left and we were just like us three, like, alone. And what's wild is we were living in this like big house.
Oh,
'cause
right.
This was part of the journey. We
Sure.
were in this big house with a pool.
Yeah.
And it was just like this open big space and it's just like
silent. I was going
and
to
it's just like us three just like laying there in a bed and like our own bed.
Yeah.
And it's like this is like it changed from just like us two to like this is like a family home.
Yeah.
Right? It was just
how great is that?
So cool. Because no commute.
Yeah. Because I can remember, in the hospital, we were there for a couple of days because Nathan had a couple complications. And you're just like, you could hear people going by, you hear people above you, and you're just like, and people coming in and checking, and because there were some complications or whatever.
Yeah.
And you're just like, okay, this really isn't personal. But then when you leave, you're just like, we're used to the busy.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden it's quiet, and our kid, he was a crier constantly. He was like, oh, kiddo, we could use some noise now. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're in this big house. And when you were kind of mentioning before we even began the recording, hey, you know what? We're going to go cruise around. We're not staying in one place.
Yeah. So it actually wasn't really a decision by choice.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
It came by default. And that kind of was the other journey. But with our mentor at the time, we were living a really good life, getting our minds very mentally strong. But as they say, whatever way you want to look at it, people say this differently, but you can't have mind without works, right? And so we were flourishing in our minds of like, we're gonna we're coming out, we're breaking out of the shell
Mm-hmm.
of this religion. We're independently thinking now, and now we're like in a path of like manifestation, and like we could live whatever life we want. We're gonna be millionaires tomorrow.
Okay.
And just like, it was wild how far we could take our minds in the most
Absolutely.
beautiful way.
Yeah.
But we didn't do anything about it. And all of us, like in this squad, that's what ended up kind of going sour, is that all of us ended up with absolutely no money and a lot of debt. We were I say we were living in this big house. We were living in a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house with a pool in Orlando, Florida, and with all expenses included. It was like $3,300 a month.
Yeah.
And neither of us had jobs.
Nobody had.
That's not sustainable, my
No,
friend.
that's a
It's
little
called
bit
unhealthy.
It's called,
And now
it can be
everybody's.
called a lot of things.
And so people become uncomfortable or
Psychotic.
subversive with one another. Because is true. Right?
Yeah. Like we were like just like in a wild place. We ended up starting to pay that rent on a credit card. So we were in 3 months, you're in
What could go wrong there?
You know, like just it ends up being wild. Like there's so much there, but we get to this place where we have no money, no jobs, no credit left.
Right.
Yeah.
So what are we gonna do? And my great uncle, I love him so much.
Yeah.
Now lives in Superior here, so we're
nice.
neighbors. It's legendary. But my great uncle, bless his heart, successful podiatry practice in Florida. Sold it when he was like 55, I think. And ever since then, with his wife, their home base was in Florida. Now they moved it to here.
Yeah.
He's literally traveled around the world. And he is the first person in my extended family that stepped away from the religion.
Right.
So he got, you think I got judgment and hate.
Oh, I mean,
he was
he went through the ringer, I'm
he
sure.
was the first one.
Yeah.
He's the OG man.
Right.
Yeah.
And he started realizing that I was like questioning stuff and where we kind of were at.
Yeah.
He basically came to me and was like, listen, and to me and my wife at the time, I was like, listen, you don't know anything about yourselves and you don't know anything about the world.
Yeah.
You need to get out and travel.
Yeah.
You've just left something that had your thoughts in one place, in one drive, and you had an expansive mind.
Yeah.
The best way to expand yourself is to get out in the world and just expose yourself.
Yeah.
Greatest thing he like ever did and said to me. And what happened from that is he started sending us articles. He could afford his lifestyle. We were going into debt and couldn't even afford to live where we're living. Talking about traveling. He started sending us these articles about traveling on a budget and all these things. And out of that was like work stays. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Woof. There's this website called Woof. It's just like farms doing work trades on farms, house sitting, pet sitting. And I started reading these articles and seeing that, and I was like, wait, we're going into debt paying rent right now. I am like, I was raised in Memphis, a lot quieter. You drive 5 minutes out and you're in farmland, everything, these things. And I was like, I could go live on a farm and they're going to give me a place to stay and my food. And I don't have to pay them anything.
And not only that, but you get to travel to multiple, if I'm understanding you correctly, service allows you to be able to go to multiple different locations, work for a little while and get paid while you stay on the property or whatever.
Yeah. So some of the, depends what you do. So most of the ones we did were not paid, but it was a barter. They gave us a place to stay and all of our food, and we worked 5 hours a day, 5 days a week. That's not even a full-time job.
Yeah.
Majority of everyone's bills, food and rent and electricity.
Yeah, that's huge.
Like that's a big part
And was there a community of people there doing similar things?
Yeah, so it depends where we went.
Yeah.
But that's how the journey started. Basically, we had no money.
Yeah.
Uncle was sending me these things. I see that, and I was just like, oh my God, we literally can't afford anything. We can't, if we can't afford rent and all these things we're going, that means we can't afford food either.
Right.
And
you have a child.
We have a child.
Right.
We just birthed a child.
Yeah, right.
It's not an option.
Gotta eat.
Yeah. And so what came out of that is we sold everything that we had in the house.
Yeah.
Packed what we could into our car.
Yeah.
Which is an Acura MDX. So it was just a compact SUV, and that's 3 out of, again, as I started this with, kind of out of default, not really by choice. Left and went on our first farm stay thing, and it was started as supposed to be only like try it for 3 days to see if we could fit, because it was like it was like half the walls were wood built as a cabin, and the rest of it was like tarp, and it was like
Right.
it may have been too cold, and we had a
Baby.
newborn. So that's how it started. We took what we could, and we
That's
went
wild.
into Ridgeland, South Carolina, from Orlando, and just started this crazy journey. We ended up there for 5 weeks. Great experience, and the exposure started right away, because the lady who ran the farm, Kim, amazing, legendary woman as well, grew up deep in Jehovah's Witness.
Okay.
Oh,
And I grew
wow.
up deep in Judaism.
Sure.
Yeah.
And was stepping out, and so it's this wild merging of reality.
Yeah.
City life to like, also I say now Orlando's the worst city in the entire year. I can't believe I even lived there. I lived there for like 9 months as well.
Sure.
Like city, like I live in Boulder for a reason now, because I understand the necessity right now in my life, because I'm young and not fully financially stable, but I understand the necessity of being in a city.
Yeah.
But I also would much rather live out in the middle of nowhere. So Boulder is like this mini little city.
Yeah.
That's why I could end up
It's kind of
The
massive of
oasis,
worlds.
man, right?
this little place. But so like Orlando, this big city, so much traffic on stuff, and then I'm like on this open land,
breathing
like fresh air, and like plants growing and old trees. I'm like living in this half glamping tent thing situation. I'm like, and then there's this like ex-Jehovah's Witness, and it was just like, it was so cool. Just a great first exposure.
Totally.
Yeah.
And that's what really, then we like just jumped around from state to state and went all around to all these different farms and got exposed to a lot of different things. But started that journey when I was, I think, 7.5 or 8 months old.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
And now he's just growing and growing. He's outside. The kids got to be dialed into, you know, the energy of the world, right? The energy of the land, if you will.
Yeah. So I say all the time that I is my greatest mentor and guru,
Love that.
and just greatest thing of life.
Yeah.
Because he brought back out of me, and I think Mira as well, through life. And like we say, like being childlike and stuff, like there's a reason, you know, we say that.
Yeah.
And him having the freedom to be a kid gave us back the freedom to be kids.
Right.
Sometimes you need to see it done to know that it can be done.
Yeah.
Well, and how freeing it is, because a child is just taking in all of this light, all of this energy, all of these words, and just going, okay, this is what I'm making of it. And there's no incorrect right off the bat. They're trialing and error, but they're just out there just going, okay, so this is what we have. I've got dirt. Awesome. Is that a tree? I'm climbing it.
Right.
What are you guys talking about? I'm involved. I want to know more about that. Right? Because it is that sponging. And here you are actually potentially growing even more from it too, because you're just like, I've been in this compartment. I started to get out of this compartment, realized I was still locked. And then great uncle, thank you, said, try this. And all of a sudden, the shackles are off, the walls are gone. Yeah. You've got a tarp. Cool. It flaps, because if I need to, I can open it. There's not four walls keeping me in. Yeah. So that's really,
I think it's wild too, because I think that as much as kids are so innocent when they come right into the world, I think that there's so many societal norms and norms, or whatever we want to call them, right? There's so many pressures, again, even outside of the main pressures that we look at, like religion or parents, right? There's so many other pressures that go on, that even in some sense, like a kid comes out so free and not in a shell, but they're almost put into a shell right away. The wild journey is that this kid came into the world and never got put in a shell, because he was put on an open piece of land. His parents are digging dirt and planting food, live food, while he's just, instead of his naps being inside of a confined crib, laying on a blanket on open land.
Yeah.
That's
like,
wild.
So connected.
Yeah.
Like just like you said, to the world. Like, so yeah, his connection to the world, and like also he grew up with
He just
every
feels-
animal and
Yeah.
wildlife and farm.
He's growing up
animal,
grounded.
Like, yeah. Hey, I got you.
Very
Put that
much
on a
so.
t-shirt.
Like so much so.
Oh, for
like
sure.
I mean, the fact that I'm wearing shoes is pretty rare for me. He again, he never wore shoes like we all.
Yeah.
He built talk about growing up
Wait, you
grounded.
said
like,
he picked his own name.
oh yeah.
How did
Yeah,
that happen?
yeah.
Okay, so
let's get there.
So yeah. So Aya was named Ariel
Mhm.
at birth, which is a Hebrew
Mhm.
Yeah.
name, just like I was given a Hebrew name.
Yeah.
Meira, his mom, is also a Hebrew name.
Yeah.
That name means Lion of God. But his name, basically right before he was born, mom's mom was second in line in her family, one of 6, and her one older brother passed away in his sleep. All they figured out was in there at some point afterwards. 24 years old, was just so sad.
Ugh.
And like, we were married at the time. It was so devastating.
Yeah.
Just killing. But I came out soon afterwards of that. And in the Jewish tradition, usually almost everyone's named after someone else, like a relative who died, or all these things. Yeah. But so also one of the things or suggestions they make in that realm is that when someone dies really young, you don't use their name. I'm really distracted by that painting. It's so beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
It's so beautiful. It's great. It's actually just, it's great. It's making my mind expand.
I love it.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's kind of suggested that you don't name them directly after the person, because it's like they died really young. It's like a bad omen.
Yeah.
That type of thing. And so we kind of through his name, because he comes from the lion. Yehuda was her brother's name, which is the lion, is the symbol, whatever. So Ariel is like a lion of God. So it's this connection
Okay.
to her brother of we're connecting him to you, but we're not really naming after you.
Sure.
And also, right when he was born is right when we stepped away from all of these things, and the amount of pressure that we had. If I was gonna name him, my family no one really knew what was really spewing behind the scenes of what path we were going on, and just living our own life.
Yeah.
We knew it was gonna be a journey. Family and friends and stuff, and so no one really really knew. And so if we came out and
We're split.
we're gonna name him, we're gonna name him some random
Mickey.
it would have been what?
Yeah.
You don't want to let. I mean,
We were so
you're already
pressured,
dealing
right?
with a lot of
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Why add that to it?
Yeah, we were really really pressured. And
Right.
so we, right after we did that and named him that, and they also say that in Judaism, so they have circumcision on the 8th day.
Mhm.
It's
Oh, yeah.
this whole
That was
part.
my
I've been to a
sons.
Brits.
Yep.
We can get into
It's
that.
brutal.
Yeah.
It's brutal.
It's really brutal.
It's really brutal. That's a big part of the journey.
Why do they have to use something that looks like a cigar cutter? What's the point? Is that a cigar cutter?
Right.
Because it looks like
It
one.
does. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. So in the same thing of the name, to get into that for a second, the brutal part of that is that the night before his bris or Brit,
Yeah.
Mira, his mom, came to me literally the night before. My whole family's coming in town.
Mhm.
Her whole
Yeah.
family's people are flying in.
Yeah.
It's a
This is
party
For the
Huge
Brit. Yeah,
thing.
yeah. It's a party.
Yeah, we turn it into a celebration.
There's food.
And
There's music.
8-year-old. Let's make a little baby cry and cut off his his skin and turn
They
it
don't
into.
cut it off.
and to-
Okay, but they do cut off skin.
I say cut. Yeah, cut off some
You said skin. Sorry. I got there. Sorry. You continue. I got scared. I was like, they don't.
It's scary.
It is
It's
terrifying.
scary. Let's be real. It's scary. So the night before, she's like, I think this is a satanic blood ritual. We're not doing it.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Hey.
I'm like, what's
No,
up?
Should we disenfranchise ourselves ourselves now.
Yeah. And both of us, like, we really went back and forth. And we were like watching videos together on like, where it really came from and all this stuff. Cause again, we had just like, we're like, what are we doing here? We're just like stepping away. And so we like really didn't want to do it, but that's what shows how the pressure is really so real. At least for me and her at the time, the families were raised and stuff, is that we would go through with something like that based on the fact that everyone's flying in. And like, in reality, if I look back now, if I could be who I am now and the confidence I have now to protect myself and my kid and all these things, I would be like, okay, I would feel bad that all these people spent all this money and planned all these things. And like, I would feel definitely feel bad about that, but I would also still make that choice. Right. Like, I'm calling.
Yeah.
But it was just like, we were so young and it was so brand new. And it was like, there's a lot. So that happened, so then it ended up happening the next day. But we were like really questioning. And then his name, they're really like the same thing. They say that in those like 8 days until you only name the child at the bris.
At the bris. Oh, interesting.
So for 8 days, you don't have a name. But they say that you have Ruach HaKodesh, which is basically like extra divine help of God. That a name is just like placed in your aura for the child in that time. So it was interesting because we were like trying to connect it to her brother and all these things. And then we just like, all right, this is what feels good right beforehand. So we're just going to do it. But right afterwards, we said to each other, your name like so much. And it's kind of it's your identity in some sense, not because it truly is who you are, but it's kind of it's how people remember you in modern day, at least. Like, and I grew up not liking my name my entire life. And so we said to each other, if he ever wants to change his name, it's something that is the first thing a kid gets that ends up
being choice he gets to make.
Yeah, but what's wild is the first thing that they get from their parents or someone else, and it's their goes for the rest of their life, and they didn't really
have kind of their identity.
They had no choice in it. Which is a wild thing.
Yeah, that is
like. It's just something that the parents are like, I like that name.
Right.
It's like, okay, cool. And a lot of times, I think majority of people like their names. And like, I'm not like salty about names and stuff, but I definitely think that if someone doesn't like their name, go change it. Yeah. Like, be free. And so,
well, sometimes, and I love Aya. I think Aya nailed it on Aya. It's a fun name. It sounds good. Danny, who is not really my stepson. It's Lauren's stepson from her late husband. But when he was younger, she said he wanted to change his name to Race Car Batman Hockey Boy. So great name, but hard to put on a college application.
You do know the story of the guy from Minnesota well, maybe not. I'm old. 30 years ago, a guy got his name legally transferred to Trout Fisherman of America.
That's his legal name.
Legal name.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, so it could have gone a lot of different ways.
I get that, but at the same time, you can also just change it again. Like they don't give you they don't give you a million tries, but I think you get like at least 2 strikes.
Right. So Maya's hanging out.
So he gets called Ariel for like 2 years. And as he starts like talking and like becoming just an absolute legend and vibe, he kind of just like adopts this Aya thing, like based on how people are pronouncing his name and based on like how he's learning to talk and stuff.
Yeah.
If you would say his name or you would ask him his name, you'd just be like, Aya.
Yeah.
Aya. Legendary.
Okay.
Family Guy.
I think it just like everyone kind of just looked at it as like, oh, it started as his name. It's not. It's just gonna be a nickname. We're like, nah, it's his name. It's his name. Right. Like my younger brother. I have 2 older brothers.
Yeah.
And 1 younger brother. My younger brother is my roommate here.
Oh, okay.
so tight. It's
Yeah.
legendary. But when people call him
We're gonna call this the legendary episode.
Yeah, for sure.
when people call Aya Ariel, he gets pissed.
Yeah.
He's like, he comes to me and he's like it bothers him more than it bothers me. But he also gets pissed when people call, like, my name is Daniel in English. In Hebrew, it's Daniel. But kind of my whole life, the pronunciation of Hebrew is different. Like Ariel, the enunciation is harder on the end and not the beginning. So my name kind of just turned into Daniel instead of like Daniel. Like it could be a pretty like Daniel, Daniel. Like in Hebrew, it would be like Daniel.
Yeah,
right. That's pretty.
That is pretty.
Yeah.
Pretty.
I like
Daniel is like. It sounds like. Like you said, Aya is sweet.
Yeah.
Every time
Yeah.
anyone hears his name, they're like, that's just, what a dope.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
This is a great kid. Well, hopefully we'll see him out at the chicken park sometime or over at Wanaka, you know. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So I want, before we finish this, I want to kind of wrap up with, well, one, we're going to have a dad joke at the end. So hopefully you have one, or we have some on deck for you. We have a deck.
Swell one.
A deck on deck.
Okay.
I know that, like, because we talked before this, and you go into whatever you want to, but life has changed a little bit, right? Things have changed. You've been on journey after journey after journey, and I'm going to tell you right now, you're in your 20s. You got a lot of journey left.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot of what you make of it, and it's going to also be kind of whatever the universe throws at you as well. So a mix of those two. And within that journey, you're tasked with teaching this little dude how to navigate that as well too. So what has life been like right now, and what is something that you've learned, and who are you now?
Yeah, great question. Ooh. So I think first you say that life, I have a lot of teaching to do to Aya.
And he's a lot of teaching to you as well.
And that's exactly what I was going to say, is that I really look at it more so of like, wow, how blessed I am. I'm like so young. It's wild that I have a 4-year-old child at 26. Whoa.
Right.
And at the same time, like, what he keeps teaching me is what turns into who I am now. That answers the question of who I am now, because I think without his guidance, I would be nowhere near I am today. But me as a person now, so in this journey of like growing up the way I did, getting married really young, having a kid really young, then going on this nomad journey, and as my great uncle prophesized, that my life would blow open and I would learn so much and I would gain insane perspective on life. Yeah, I was sitting in my relationship thinking, is this what I want to be living? Is this fulfilling me the way that I either thought it would, or even thought it would right now, currently as my life blows open, and both of us together, we're both learning together, like, what a beautiful relationship could look like. Forget what it should look like, what it could look like.
Yeah.
You know, like, we both grew up with lots of strife between our parents, and like not being, I don't think I was ever modeled a beautiful relationship, at least growing up. And then to like expose ourselves and see in a reality where like, oh my God, people have beautiful relationships and beautiful family. They're not passive aggressively nasty to each other all day long, and they truly enjoy hanging out, and they're not like basic things. Like, to learn that together was so cool. And then at the same time, it's like, when the original conversation that I brought up to her, when I was thinking about, the original thought was to like take some time apart and then, you know, come back together and stuff.
Yeah.
What I realized is that I had blown open my whole life, and she had blown open her whole life. And it was like so much love and respect to her and honor to her in that journey, because as much as I was willing to explore, doing something like that alone,
Mhm.
most people are still stuck where they are because it is so scary and hard to do it alone.
Yeah.
Right.
And you're leaving everyone you knew and you grew up with your whole life and your family and all that stuff potentially.
Yeah.
And we kind of knew that was going to happen if we did it. And so to even just have one person who you know, and at that point we knew each other deeply
Mhm.
and we're super connected, like just so much love to her
Yeah.
for that. Yeah. So as that blew open, what I kind of realized is that we had learned new things about ourselves. But what I had felt like is that most things that had blown open and I was ready to like relearn how I'm going to truly live my life, I had integrated through the lens of a relationship, not integrated through the lens of me and who I felt like I
Independence.
wanted to be, who I was, and
Mhm.
then bring it into my relationship.
Yeah. Yeah.
And after doing that for like a little while, I was just like, I gotta do things for I have to expose myself for like certain things I was struggling. I was codependent on her in a
Mhm.
lot of ways,
Yeah.
financially and different stuff like that, where
Yeah.
I was like, if I don't handle this myself, I kind of got to priorities in a
Mhm.
sense. And I was just like, I do have love, of course, for this lifestyle and
Mhm.
how we're living. And at the same time, there are certain things I feel like if I stay in this realm I've been like struggling with or like going through, and we're just going down this path, and it's we know what could be, and
Mhm.
we're not living like that. So we're
Yeah.
like going down a path of like, we know it should be, but it's not there. And then then you're thinking about what could be or what should be, right? I
Mhm.
think what could be is what should be, because if you believe it could be for you, then you should have it. Go
Mhm.
get it, right? And so in a positive
Mhm.
realm,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In a limitless
Mhm.
world, like where you really like see your reality and say, I want that. And so if you see the way a relationship should be structured or work or flow, or
And it's not
and
that.
it's
And it's
not
not
that,
currently that.
yeah. And
Okay.
it's and you're like constantly learning more and like opening into this world, and you're not like actively like going down. I
Yeah.
just didn't feel like we were doing that. And like, I don't think that was like a
Mhm.
problem with her or a problem with me
Yeah. Yeah.
specifically. I just think we were like living in the
It was
comfort.
it's
something you guys
becoming.
became aware of,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, we're living in the comfort.
Yeah. The other thing too is I'm kind of hearing what you're saying too is the potential of being able to. My son has really guided me. You're feeling, wow, I've really reached some limitless aspects, but then I'm realizing, wait, there's still limits on what I know and what I've done. So here's
Mm.
maybe where you have that opportunity to now go, okay, I'm going to learn even more so I can also guide further, because this way of living is wonderful, but it turns out there are limits. And so now I want to be able to go, hey, there are going to be some limits, but here's how you also make sure to always have that light and at least a foot through, 3 walls rather than 4.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so I just like you said, I realized like I don't have to be in a relationship.
Yeah.
And that was like a big thing for me, is that I think most people, and that's like a big part of who I am today and
Mhm.
what I believe, is that I think most people get into a relationship, and there's one part of a relationship that is the love between the two
Mhm.
people in a relationship, and
Yeah.
a separate reality where you choose to be parents and to be co-parents lovingly together. Not
Yeah.
everyone chooses that.
Mhm.
And I also think that some people, either by force or just assume they have to, feel like because they're in a relationship, that means they also need to be a family.
Yeah.
And then
Right.
afterwards, once you're already in a family, I think most people just get stuck in like, well, we're parents together, we have to be in a relationship. And I feel really blessed. I'm not I still to this day say like, I don't know how I had this clarity, and I still
Mhm.
can't describe, like, people to ask me like, how, at such a young age, like, don't you think you're crazy? Like, how could you choose to say that you're gonna like go out on your own and you're gonna be a single parent?
Well, you haven't
It
been
just
on your own yet,
yeah, like
right?
yeah, and
Yeah.
like I was just like, I don't know, it just there's something, I just felt like that's exactly what I needed to do,
Yeah.
and I made that choice against
Yeah.
all odds, really, to just say like,
Life is just a series of choices, man. You make those choices. Like we were saying earlier, you then you deal with whatever comes next. And that's what we're trying to teach our kids. That's what you have to teach Aya every single day.
Absolutely.
And how do you teach that to him if you're not willing to live that yourself? So, I applaud you for that. I know I can't imagine what it feels like. It seems like it might be scary some days, but
Sure.
but that's just part of it.
I think that a really big point in that is that I think a lot of people are also, whether it's a dad or a mom, I think a lot of people are scared of the reality or shy away from the reality. If you deeply feel like you don't want to be in a relationship anymore, I think a lot of people have the guilt of what happens to the child if you choose to not be with the parent of their the person you birthed the child with. And I had a lot of that. A lot of people come to me and be like, "You're wild," and like, "What about your child?" I'm down to exactly on your point is that even if things may be painful for me now in the journey, for him now in the journey, and certain things may go sour or might not be perfect, when he understands later in life what choice I made and why I made it, and what it means to truly choose yourself, to choose your freedom, to choose the lifestyle that you want to live, because at any point in life, no matter what contracts in life you have with people or things or associations you have, no matter how deep rooted they are, you are always free.
Yeah.
And you always got to choose yourself no matter what it means. And I think that decision later down, a child will be like,
I think,
yeah, Dad.
And I think Aya has seen how you guys have done things. I do think that you're going to have that big picture of clarity is going to happen for all of you guys again. And that's really amazing. I got to say, it's been a real treat.
Yeah. So this has been legendary.
You brought us legendary. Yeah. This has been really great.
Thanks
for sharing all this, because that's some really in-depth and deep stuff from just from your upbringing in particular. Do you need a dad joke, or have you got something?
So I was thinking about this on the way here. I'm not a big dad joke guy. But what I was thinking about, I think that the biggest dad joke is me. So I look at myself, and like I was looking at myself in the mirror this morning. I'm like, I'm 26 years old.
Yeah.
And I'm young. I'm healthy. I'm a young guy, like in the beginning of my life. I believe I'm young, like in the beginning of my life. And then I'm like,
you are young.
I'm like,
yeah,
I'm a dad. I think it's like hilarious. Right?
Yeah.
I really do think it's so funny, but I'm happy to.
No, you're. I think that was. I'm down with that.
Okay.
I love that. That was an honest response, which I expect nothing else from you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your story. And let's hang out outside of here.
Yeah, I would love that.
Cheers.
It's been a pleasure. I appreciate the space.
Yeah, 100%, man.
Yeah.
All right, brother. Thank you so much, man.
That was great.
Lovely.
You only get one spin around this rock. You only have so many days until it stops, and how you show up for your kids, well, that's your superpower. You might not know it now, but this is your Pappy Hour. Pappy Hour, let's talk it out. What's it like? What's life all about? Oh, Pappy Hour.